Looky here. Back on the show by special demand. I had so many people call up and say, isn't Greg supposed to be at work? No.
But it's Sunday, and I should be on the lake.
That's right. He's probably off and on his way. Of course, Lance is here again. And so you guys are back on because, heck, they came out here and just to show people how easy it is to install electronics. And Greg, of course, does electronic installs. And so he came out and did one on Lance's boat. So we're pretty excited to hear about how it went. And, you know, we want to find out all the ins and outs of it. Lance, why did you go with the trophy graph systems?
It's it was just rock solid. A whole lot. You know, didn't no wiggle to it at all like the one I had previous on there. It just that thing's probably the toughest thing on the boat now.
Right.
Yeah. It's I'm excited to have it on there. So
yeah.
So what did you install on his? What model?
We put the bridge mount, single bridge mount, trophy graph system, and from Rose Metal, and these brackets, every bracket they have is all they're bend. They have no welds.
Yep.
The only one that might have a weld would be the pedestal.
Right.
And but other than that, all their systems is just totally solid rock, but they're lightweight. They're made out of aluminum, and they're just phenomenal. And the beauty of it as well is if you can go to some of the other companies and buy a very similarity bracket, and it's almost double the price. So they're very affordable. They're very durable, well made. They take and powder coat them. And, I mean, I have not had no issues with this company at all, and I've been dealing with them for about a year.
Yeah, well, you're an authorized dealer, are you not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There we go. Well, we'll cut to the chase on that. You are, but part of the reason why you did that was because of the affordability, and they are available, right? I mean, you're not waiting in line for one.
I can call them tomorrow, and I'll have the bracket by the end of the week, if not sooner.
Right.
I mean, they've been very prompt. I don't have no big wait time, and that single bridge, we got a double plate that was originally designed for a double mount at the console.
Right.
And but we can take that same mount and plate, and we can put it on a single bridge. You can put two graphs side by side. Or you can get the double. You can put two here and one up there, and still have plenty of room for your cables and stuff on your trolling motors to not have to be lifting them all the time and moving them around. Works real well.
And that's the gimbal mount is what that is. So that's an optional thing. So when you start looking at people's – look at that. They got to watch the boats go by because we're sitting here on
nature. See who's buzzing by me.
They're trying to see. They're like, are they fishing my hole? Oh, really? But the gimbal mount is an optional thing. So if you do get a bridge mount and you want the gimbal to put on there to mount the two things, you have to buy that extra. Right. So when you see a lot of pictures that are taken that Greg's installed, it shows that. I always try and remember people like make sure that's optional in there. So what kind of boat do you have, Lance, that we put that on?
It's a Bass Tracker 170.
Right.
2010, I believe is what year it is.
Right.
It's just
And explain to them the setup that you have in the front of your boat. Everyone wants to know because you're always on Facebook or you're on Instagram showing these great big stringers of fish. So are you going to like hold your the stringer of the fish next to the mount? That's what I want to know. Are you?
We'll try to work something up like that.
There you go.
No, it's I guess like we said before, I spider rig most of the time, and so my poles are always out the front, and the rod holder would always bump the graph screen.
Right.
So what's nice about that one, the screen kind of is still up high where I like to have it, the same level, but it kind of tilts it angle bit back, so my reel wouldn't bump the screen. So it was always that was always an issue, was my reels bumping that screen, and I couldn't, it also kind of just messed up my vision to be able to see the whole screen with my poles all out there. So it looks like it's going to work.
The bracket
perfectly.
was also shaky.
Yeah.
The bracket that he had on there, it was also real loose.
I mean, you can watch it. It's kind of weird, when I go to the lake, I'm always going at night, so I don't ever see how bad that thing wiggles.
Right.
Coming up here today, I'm like, gosh, dog, that thing really does wiggle.
You probably don't want to lose your unit, your Garmin down the lakes or down the road, I guess, in this case.
Yeah.
After he drove drove out here this trip in the daylight and noticed it, he's probably thinking, why haven't I been taking that unit off?
Right.
Yeah.
So you're doing mostly minnow fishing and spider rigging?
Yes.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the hot part of summer. Is spider rigging still good?
It can get tough, this time of year. I think a lot has to do with them, how they pulling the lake down a lot now. I think that really spreads them out. I go slow. I mean, I don't really go any faster than 0.5. So I can't cover the water as fast as a fellow pushing a crankbait or pulling a crankbait. I mean, I can go with a heavier rig, like a 2 ounce, and go about a mile an hour, but I just can't bring myself. I don't know. It's in my head. I don't want to go that fast. So I just try to find a good flat that has fish on it. And this time of year, I mean, you can still catch them. You might get your limit. You might get 10. I mean, this time of year, we just have to work for them more and just kind of I kind of go by previous experience of, okay, this previous year I caught them here. So I'm going to go there and fish there. It just kind of, they get more on the move and more spread out. So
you're talking about a flat? Is that in the main lake, or are you fishing back in the creek channels on the flats?
I'm in the main lake. I'm on.
Okay.
Still staying mostly out in the main lake. I don't really get in creek arms till it gets fall. I mean, once that water starts getting cooler, in the 60s. 60s and 70. I mean, 60s usually, 60s, 50s. And I'll start getting back up in the creek arms, and I'll stay in those till the end of spawn.
Of course, we kidded you a little bit about being a minnow fisherman, but tell us what size weight that you're using, and how do you have that rig set up? What kind of hook do you have?
It's a double minnow rig. I mean, it's a size 2 Aberdeen Eagle Claw. I think they're 214 EL. It's just an extra light hook. I had a conversation back with Ronnie Capps a long time ago, messaging him. He said, do the 214 EL. He said, that's a real light hook. If you get hung, it straightens up better. So I just started using those. I use it. It depends on the time of year. I mean, we had a conversation about this over the week, a couple of days ago. I like to stay with a 1/2 ounce in the wintertime. Greg's thinking going 1 ounce all year round. I'm just hard headed. Once I do something, if it ain't broken, I ain't gonna fix it. I mean, I stay with a 1 ounce in the summer, just because I'm going a little bit faster. I'm out more in open water, but in the spring or in the fall, dead of winter, it's the 1/2 ounce or even lighter, like a 1/4 rig. I like the lighter the better, because a lot of times them fish,
it's real light.
They're real light bite. I mean, they just suck on the minnow. I mean, you can see it on live scope. You see them all down there on the bottom, all grouped up, and you just see the rod tip just barely pull, and they got it. And you just want to go ahead and set the hook. I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell that with a 1 ounce.
Right.
And so that's the reason why. And also a short leader. If you have a 3-way, I like running a shorter leader.
Like how long a leader?
Underneath the hook, probably 8-9 inches.
Right.
Top leader, 6, 8, 9 inches. I mean, just the shorter leader, the more sensitive to the pole.
And also, as Lance ties most of his rigs himself, actually, you can get the 1 ounce or the 1/2 ounce double minnow rigs from B&M.
Yeah.
They sell, and for somebody that just doesn't want to know if they, can keep them precisely the same and go through the time that it takes. I mean, it takes a long time to tie these all up in the winter when we do them, and it's just very easily. In fact, I keep some of those in my boat just for the reason if I'm out, and I may have some tied up, but it's like I said, we need one quick or whatever, we just pop them out. We retie them quickly and then use those over every one of them being hand tied because it takes a lot of time.
So live scope, we'll talk first with Greg about using live scope in the summer, and then we'll let Lance say how he uses it.
Well, as far as live scope in the summertime,
are you one pulling or what you doing?
Well, I've got to where I'm even using it trolling. Where the last couple of years, I've had live scope now for about 5 years, and the first 2 or 3 years of it, I didn't even ever turn it on for the trolling. And I got to playing with it this year and using it, and it has been very good tool. Because I can extend my range out. I don't usually go much past about 55, 60 feet.
Right.
But I can see those fish out in front of me. And at that point, I can start turning the boat. And I can put them crankbaits right on. I know how deep they are. I know the general area that they're swimming in.
Right.
And I can just pull that crankbait right in the midst of them. And I mean, we don't get bit every time, but if there's a clump of them, usually if I say we got a good spot here,
right?
Yeah, we're gonna drag a couple or three out of it.
All right.
And it's been very helpful. And of course, a lot of people are doing the single pole pretty much year round now. The single pole bite's been just a little bit tough. They haven't really cleaned to the timber yet. But yet they're still out just roaming around. Our weather has been so hot this year,
right?
And to the point that it's just no really set pattern. As a general rule, in the weather we've been having for the past 3 weeks, that's toward the mid-August,
right.
End of August, and the lake's starting to even think about turning, and they're on the channel swings and the deep bluffs. And I mean, last weekend I caught fish in from 10 to 13 foot range, anywhere from 15 to 25 foot of water. And normally we don't stay in that close, with this kind of heat.
Yeah.
So it's been, and then they've been dropping the lake about a foot a week.
Yep.
From the time to time. And another thing that I have been playing with, and of course everybody, some people get tired of hearing live scope, but
right.
as everybody knows, I've got Garmin products. I'm sponsored by Garmin. I'm on their pro staff, and I have the 126s with the map card,
right,
and that I've got the latest updated map card, and I got to looking at it a couple or 3 weeks ago, and it has a water level in there. Right. And I knew it had it, and I've known it's had it for a long time, but it's just like, to me, I don't understand what the value, what the purpose of that is. If you have it and it's available, it don't matter whether you have Lowrance or what.
Right.
You need to really play with that, because our lake is still 2.5 feet high, and the contour lines, and not even just contour lines of trying to stay in the same depth, but like people have said over the years, when the lake's real high or something, it's harder for them to find their locations of brush piles or whatever,
right,
because of the difference in the lake. Because the waypoint is where it's supposed to be on the map, but it's not, because the lake's 2 feet high. Right. So the reading on that chart is going to be different than what it actually is. So I've been putting in, I look at the lake level every time I go to the lake, and I put it in plus 2.8.
Right.
And you can actually see, if you have it on the normal setting and it's on the normal pool, you haven't done nothing to it, and you just change it even to that 2.8, it's amazing the difference and how much easier and better you can stay in your depths of water. It don't matter whether you're crankbait fishing for bass or trolling or sniping with live scope or what. It is just it's been real good for me.
Yep. And Lance, how do you use live scope? We know you have it on your boat because we installed it. We re-put
Right.
I really should say Greg installed it today, but
yeah. Well, I mean, first it lets me know where how deep my baits are, exactly what depth I'm at. It takes that whole guess game out. It lets me know where the fish are at, what level they're at. It takes pretty much that whole guesswork out. Because I mean, used to, what depth are they at? Maybe 10, maybe 12 feet. I don't know. Well, but now you can just 5 minutes, you know how deep the fish are. So I'm using it to know how deep fish are, and then I'm just constantly turning my trolling motor, and just looking for fish. And once I see them, I will turn and go at them and try to keep them in the bullseye, is what I call it, and keep one of my baits on them until the fish comes up to hit, to look at it, to bite. If they're in brush, same thing. If a tree is, I can get to the tree and see where the fish are at. And I'll try to keep my baits above it so I'm not getting snagged in it. And I'll just go at the tree, and usually they'll come up, and either look at it and bite it or just swim back down. That's what's frustrating about it. But
so what range do you have that set out at?
I only use mine at 30.
30?
30, 35.
Because you're going slow.
I'm going slow. And then, it just seems like the picture on my screen, I only have a 9-inch screen. So it just seems like I can see everything clear, just make out what it is a whole lot better.
Sounds like you need to be better friends with Greg.
Yeah. Well, let him keep all the fish.
We did fish.
Well, he's got big units. You got small, I'm pretty sure that bridge mount could easily fit a 12-inch unit.
Oh, yes, most definitely. We, Lance and I did fish out my boat a couple of weeks ago with, and we was trolling, and I think I got back to what I was saying of pulling the crankbaits over, and Peyton was in there with us, and Lance was in there, and they were fishing. I was just sitting back running the boat.
It was like we had a guide. I don't think we took a fish off all day.
Oh, man, really, that's nice.
Yeah, there you go. And but I didn't think about it for a long time because we were talking about the live scope.
Right.
And as I'd see those fish on live scope, and I just, depending on where they were located, I would take the boat to get them on that side, and it turned out that most of the fish was coming off of Lance's side there. So I had to kind of start turning the other way a little bit once in a while. So
Peyton's got enough. He's got enough. Peyton heard that now. He knows now. He'll be like, I'll trade you. Let me run the trolling motor a little bit.
Yeah, Peyton, he's been...
That's right.
Having to be very patient right now waiting on his boats.
That's right.
Yeah, so.
Well, that takes us to Tackle Time. Tackle Time is sponsored by PICO Lures. PICO Lures has a complete line of hard and soft baits. Of course, we were talking about trolling. Of course, they have the hottest crankbait for trolling right now out there. Square bills, some of the guys down in Mississippi lakes that have really shallow reservoirs are just using them without a weight, but you can also push them there. And then they do have soft plastic jig heads for bass fishing. That's kind of what I've been doing a little bit with those. And using the new PICO rig. So make sure you type that in and see what the PICO rig is, because it was developed by me, but everyone else is taking credit for it. So what can I say? Greg, if they wanted to see more about your business and installing electronics, where would they go?
They can contact me at 479-601-1683, or I'm on Facebook as well. They can message me through my personal page is Greg Robinson, or Greg's Guide Service I almost said .com, but it's not .com. Just Greg's Guide Service.
Yeah, Facebook. And he also guides for crappie, so he can do both, and he can tell you some good options for mounting your electronics, if nothing else, if they go on a guide.
Yeah, and I mean, if anybody needs to just, even if they do some of the install themselves,
right,
and they need information about the brackets and stuff, I have most all the brackets available.
Yep.
And we can meet with them and show them, and they can best fit what we think they need, and then we'll get them fixed up.
Good deal. And Lance, if they want to see some pictures of all these crappie you've been catching,
you can go to Instagram, Lance Hughey 34,
okay.
or Facebook. It's just look for Lance Hughey.
All right.
Yeah, I'm always posting. Try to post once a week.
There you go. There you have it. That does it for the show. Of course, these guys came in. I appreciate it. And good stuff today. A lot about electronics and mounting, and that's what we like to learn about. And like I always like to end the show, make sure you keep your hook sharp and your lures in the water.